Preach, preacher.
Well, as you know, or if you don't know, Golden State Warriors have won. And Kevin Durant, yet another MVP, most valuable player. This is a very historical moment because he's one of the few to hit a back-to-back MVP title. He's one of the few to hold that back-to-back MVP title. And I want to talk to you about being the most valuable player in your everyday life. I want to talk about being that person that stands out to say, you know what? Out of everybody, I see the most valuable in this person. See, we just say most valuable player in the sport realm, but it's not just in sports, it's in life as well. Listen, I'm going to be 100% real with you. We ourselves don't look at ourselves as someone who could be iconic. We want that thing, but then we also compare ourselves with, which comparison is the utmost dream killer. It is the biggest dream killer one man can have, is comparison. If we as people exhaust ourselves to the best we could be, if we find that one thing about us that makes us different from every other human being and exhaust it to its fullest potential, drive it, work on it to its fullest potential till we reach our peak, well, then we could be iconic. There's not just that one LeBron James, that there's gonna be no other LeBron James. That's not a thing. Everybody has something in them, something very specific in them, that if they exhaust this one thing, if they just work on this one thing to reach that peak, to reach the top of that mountain, they could be looked as an icon in whatever realm they are in. It doesn't just have to be in sports. I want to let you know a little something. The way I was brought up. I was brought up playing sports, football, basketball. I played a little bit of soccer, but that's besides the point. I was always training to be the best for football. I mean, in any aspect, I knew I was going to go further in football than basketball. I did train for basketball, but when I did train for basketball, it was to be the best. It wasn't to be good. It wasn't to be great. It was to be the best at all times. This is something my father had told me growing up and pursuing football, pursuing basketball. Do that thing that makes you stand out. You have to do something different. You can't do what everybody's doing, because if you're doing what everybody's doing, then you're just falling in line. But if you do something different that not everybody else is doing, then that's when you stand out. It's like being in a line with a bunch of people wearing black shirts, and all of a sudden you didn't get the memo and you kind of wanted to do something yourself and you wore a white shirt. Well, you're standing out. Why? You chose it. You chose to wear that white shirt. Memo or not, you chose to wear that white shirt, therefore you're standing out in that line. Whatever you're doing in sports, whatever you're doing in your job, the workplace, the marketplace, you have to do something to stand out. You can't do everything the same as everybody else. If you want to be great, if you want to be known, if you want to reach that iconic level, listen, God's got a plan for you. God's got a plan for you. And I'm a living testament of that I'm doing something different. Yeah, we have similar goals, we have similar aspirations, but there is one thing different from what I'm doing than what everybody else is doing. There's one thing different that I have that not everybody else has. There always has to be that one distinct difference. Be the MVP in your workplace. Be the MVP in your sporting. Be the MVP wherever whatever you're doing, because guess what? You'll get noticed. There's a reason why they call most valuable player, is because they notice that you stand out. They notice that you stand out amongst all. Don't just fit in. I'm tired of seeing people just fit into society. They do the get up, the good morning, they eat breakfast, go to work, come back home, have dinner, watch TV, and do the same thing over and over again. Well, what are you going to be doing different? What does that heart tell you? What does that passion have for you? What is that? What is that very thing that, you know what, I'm going to do this, although it may seem the same, it's not. They will notice. People will notice. So that's just my little something for you guys. I hope someone's blessed. I hope someone's motivated, inspired to go and be that MVP in their marketplace. Go wherever, whatever they're doing and wherever they're doing it. I hope you're going to be that MVP. So people, listen. This is Let's Be Real, another episode of Let's Be Real. Man, do I have something to talk about today? We wouldn't be Let's Be Real if I talked about some light stuff or talked about what everybody else is talking about. I like talking about the things that people don't touch upon. I like talking about the stuff that's undermined in society or undermined in the media and stuff like that. Listen, I am just so shocked. First off, I want to talk about this. The JBA. The JBA is a league for young kids that are coming out of high school and don't have that D1 scholarship or choose not to go to a Division I basketball program. And this JBA is started by the man LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball has started a junior basketball association and will be paying athletes $3,000 to $10,000. Food is included. When they go to hotels and they're on the road, that's paid for. This stuff's paid for. All he asks is, you know what? You got to wear the BBB clothing. No BBB shoes, but you got to wear the BBB clothing. And the winners get a new car. So imagine your kid going to this league and winning the championship and winning a car and getting paid. A lot of people are not for this. And a lot of people are for this. I want to tell you why this is a good thing. The good thing is this. We have a lot of one and done people. I mean, a hometown kid from Hamilton, Ontario, Shea Alexander, he's going to be a one and done guy. He went to the university, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, but he went to the University of Kentucky, and he's now declared in the NBA draft. And you know what? What's a scholarship to him? People get free rides to go to D1 universities in the States, but get one and done, but don't leave with the diploma. Don't leave with a graduation certificate from their university. So what point is there to have a full ride scholarship? Listen, if that was the case, well, then I'm going to the JBA, because $3,000 to $10,000 I could have in my pocket rather than having nothing in my pocket and you making money off of me. So that's why I like this JBA. I think it's good for the people to have different options. I mean, that's why we have options in our world, because it suits certain people. And I've learned that over this past year, that options are good for certain people. They're tailored to one. It's not tailored to the other. I mean, suit yourself. You know what I mean? One thing I want to talk about is this. Kanye. Kanye is on a great... He's just one of the greats. He's just in my books. Like, this is where opinion comes in. In my books, I feel like Kanye is one of the greats. He's a world changer. He's a world shifter. He's a world rattler. In any actions he does, I mean, it doesn't seem like it makes sense in the at first, but as time goes on and things unfold, then certain things make sense. And what Kanye is saying with what he's saying with like freedom of speech and freedom of thought, it's so crazy. And I want to get into the religious aspect of this, the freedom of thought and freedom of speech. What is happening between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un? And if I said his name wrong, correct me. It's okay. We all make mistakes. But Donald Trump and then Kim Jong-un and everything that's going on, you see a clear divide between the people. And you see people that are going for Donald Trump, people that are not. And, I find this. Kanye just exposed the people that say, you know what, you could have freedom of speech, no problem, but I'm going to bash you though. Like, arguments start because we often try to change other people's views. We try to change other people's views. I don't know why, but that's how arguments start. Like, this is your view, freedom of speech. Okay, cool. And this is my view. All right, cool. Now I know where your eyes and your head's at. Now you know where my eyes are and where my head's at. Well, why do we have to have an argument about that? Let's just hear each other out, and that's it. Not plead your case, but back it up with facts and your points, and cool. At least you know what you're talking about. At least you're not just saying stuff all over the place. But the freedom of speech, I just watched. If you haven't got a chance to watch it, watch the Dennis Rodman. Yes, the basketball player that played with Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls. Watch the interview with him and CNN. Absolutely incredible. Just someone that would you never think of doing something like this, or it's just incredible to see what someone out of that genre or out of that that realm of work gets into and makes an impact. Why I say to watch it is because it's an interesting thing. He said, when he was doing this and supporting Trump and trying to get a balance between Korea and Donald and the USA, he said he had to go in hiding. My man had to go in hiding. So like, the world is not a safe place for him at this moment. So he had to go in hiding for 30 days just because of his views. So you're telling me that people were after him because they didn't like his freedom of thought. Well, if it's freedom of thought, then aren't you allowed to say what you want to? Aren't you allowed to think of what you want to think? And then if it's freedom of speech, aren't you allowed to say what you want to say? it drove me crazy because I'm like, so people that are Trump supporters, at first they're just like, oh, they're crazy, oh, they're racist and all this stuff. But then I see the same reaction from the people that are not Trump supporters. They end up like cursing people and, just death threats. Like, what makes you so much better? It doesn't make these actions don't make you any better. And it's scary to see that. Okay, well, we say we have freedom of speech and then we don't, and then it's scary to say that we have freedom of thought, but once we share our thought, it's like bashed. It's almost like you didn't want me to have freedom of thought. I'm going to do a little switch here because I feel like this is very important. We're talking about freedom of thought and we're talking about freedom of speech. But now I'm going to add one thing in there. Free will. See, we have a choice. I mean, we often see this with religion. Religion, when you choose a religion or you choose a side, like all of a sudden you get bashed. But I want to go even deeper than that and talk about religion. Religion is often passed down from one family member to another. But this is where we've gone wrong. And this is why we have a problem here. Test your faith. You test your faith. Don't let anybody else test your faith. You first have to test your faith and see where it's at. Not a lot of people in this day and age are testing their faith. If you ask them, because you know what, I go around and I preach, I speak, I do a lot of stuff, right? And I'm not one of those believers that would push God upon somebody else. That's not me. That's not me. I'll talk about something, and again, freedom of thought, freedom of speech. I share my speech, you share your speech, and if you feel like, wow, that's very powerful, and you agree to my freedom of speech, then okay, but that's not an argument. And people that want to argue with me when I'm doing this stuff, listen, I will not have it. I will not have your arguments, because I'm not here to argue. I'm here to share, right? So this argument stuff doesn't make sense. But I want to say this. Test your faith. Make sure you know why you believe in what you believe. Don't believe because, hey, I was brought up this way, or I was raised in the church. I was born in the church. Ain't nobody born in no church. You're born at home or you're born in the hospital. We have that option these days. Ain't nobody born in a church. There are no nurses actively working in a church. So we need to stop saying we're born in something. You were raised in it. But a lot of people are not testing their faith. And this is the problem. This is where things go wayward. This is why we have certain people that, want to go certain ways, and certain people want to go other ways. Like, you got to test what you believe by yourself, that when you go out and other people test you, you're not stumped, or you always know the answer. You always know what you got to come up with. Right? I'm not saying this to bash people or other religions. That's not my thing, right? I'm saying this to test and to understand furthermore what you're doing. You do have free will. And I believe strongly that when a parent just raises someone up in church, whatever form of church, I feel when they are of age to make a decision, you need to sit down and talk to that child and tell them or ask them, why do you believe in what you believe? First, you tell them what you believe and why you believe, and see if their beliefs line up with that. If they don't, that's their freedom of choice. That's their free will. God gives us free will. He allows us to go to the left, or he allows us to go to the right. Right? He allows us to choose him or not, or like it doesn't. He gets angry because he's like, man, I love you, like, but at the same time, he loves you that much that he'll let you go, because he allows a freedom of choice. He allows you to have your free will. But if we're not questioning, I've had an opportunity to question why I believe what I believe. And there's no doubt in my mind that anybody could change that. Why? Because I've tested it myself. It was tried and it ended up being true. And this wasn't no little test, guys. You got to remember, at a certain point in my life, like I was depressed, had anxiety, and then wanted to commit suicide. So you can't tell me that I did not test. Listen, I had God on a timeline. And when I told God he had a timeline, my man followed through. I tested for myself. It has nothing to do with my parents. This is me. Because guess who has to live out my life when my parents are dead? I do. No one else has to live out my life. I got to live out my life for myself. So now when my parents are dead, like I see a lot of people say, I know there's one guy, I say, oh, why don't you go to church anymore? He said, my mom's dead, so I don't go to church no more. Wait, what? What? How does that even make sense? Like, so did you go to your church for your mom? I understand that it was a good relationship piece. It's a good time, to share with each other, to fellowship with each other. But I ain't going to church for nobody. I'm going for me. And oftentimes this happens. People are raised Catholic, people raised Muslim, people raised Jewish, people raised Christian. Yo, test your faith. Why are you doing what you're doing? Does this make sense? Step away, because all you're seeing is what you're in right now. You're not stepping outside of the box to see inside. You're only seeing inside. And I had a chance to step outside of the box and see inside. So no one could really tell me, like, listen, what you're doing is wrong, and I don't think you're going the right way. Like, listen, guy, have you tested? Listen, my sister, have you tested? Because I've tested, and why you can't shake me, why you can't move me, is because I've tested. Listen, people, my final thoughts. I want you people to have an honest life. I want you people to be honest to only you. Not only you, but you first. I shouldn't have said only you, but I want you to be honest to you first. Because listen, when you have that honesty with yourself, then comes trust. Then you trust yourself. Then you love yourself. Then everything starts, coming. You have to be honest with yourself. You are your biggest critic. No one else could criticize you like you could criticize yourself. Sometimes we're hard on ourselves, but I want you to be honest with yourself. In every aspect, listen, am I giving 100%? Should I be doing this? Do I know better? There has to be an honesty with yourself that you could become accountable to the things that you're doing. Because when you lose that accountability, then I'm telling you, you're a loose cannon. You're a loose cannon. And you're never really accountable for the things that you should be accountable for. Hey, everybody, I felt like saying that. I felt that accountability is a major thing in this world. That it's actually lacking, that people don't want to be accountable for their actions. People don't want to be accountable for their decisions or their thought and the thought process. Nobody wants to be accountable. No one wants to be accountable for their past. Accountability is part and parcel with honesty. Listen, people, that's my time. My time is up. I love doing this with y'all. Join me from the next episode. I want you to follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Snapchat, Mike Brown .116, or you can follow me on Instagram, Michael Brown 24. If you're not liking the Facebook page, what are you doing? Stop being selfish and be selfless. Like the page, share the video. And if you did not go on YouTube and subscribe yet, listen, go and subscribe. We are now moving to YouTube, and then the videos on YouTube will be on Facebook. But still, go subscribe. Don't fool around here, because there's great things coming, and I don't want you to miss it. And I know a lot of people say that, but I'm being honest. I don't want you to miss it. There's greater things ahead. You already know this is Help Others Build Others. I love you, and I want you to have the best week you could possible. Get over this Wednesday hump and finish strong. Much love. This is Help Others Build Others. Peace.